Hey everybody, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule to review this quick demo. I'm Jeremy Carney from Central Coast Analytics, and what we're going to do today is show some of these brand new capabilities when we take all that data out of Ecos Craft Insights and display it in a world-class data visualization studio. The idea being that your team can get a really quick holistic view of performance and then know exactly where they should take action in order to move the needle. So first, I'm going to paint the picture of why this is important. We're going to work through a real life brewery scenario and some of the pain points that teams have today. Some of this is probably going to sound pretty familiar with what your brewery might be going through. But I'm not going to spend too much time on that because I really want to spend the majority of the time on the demo. I think it's going to be really obvious as we work through the demo of what some of the benefits are of this solution, and then we're finally going to wrap up with some next steps. Okay, let's get into it. So here's our scenario, and it's probably going to sound pretty familiar to a lot of brewery teams out there. Sales are down, and the team is really scrambling to find what's going wrong. Right now, they're working really hard, they're taking a lot of actions, but they're not really able to move the needle. And part of the reason why that is because in some cases they try to use data, but because it's a real manual process, it's inconsistent, people don't always trust it or use it correctly. So they struggle to find root cause. And what that leads to is when you're not using data as kind of that single source of truth, is everybody on the team has a little different opinion on what's going wrong. And in some cases, people can be exactly right when they rely on gut feel, but in other cases, they're not. And what this leads to, and you may have come across this in your team or other teams you've worked on, is when people have different opinions on what they should be doing to move the needle, is sometimes it can cause conflict in the team, which is never good. There's too much emotion involved, negative emotion, when you don't base some of your actions on data. So this is leading to a lot of frustration and stress with the team. So what's this team need to do? They need to find a way to really quickly identify and take action on real opportunities and reasons for decline in their brewery sales. Before we demo, let's just take a second and review some of the issues that teams have when they try to use data, especially when it comes to sales data. A lot of times it's a real manual process. People are downloading data out of source systems of sales information, trying to bring it into a spreadsheet, and it ends up becoming a big, complex, gnarly spreadsheet, right? A lot of times we then give it to our sales team and it's like, okay, go find something to go action. And we really cross our fingers that they're able to do that. But we don't want our sales team with their heads down in spreadsheets all day. We want them out selling. We want them doing what they do best. What we also run into when there's a lot of spreadsheets floating around and some of them are up to date and some aren't is there's too many sources of truth out there. Nobody's really sure how performance is or what they should be working on. And then finally, we find when it's very spreadsheet heavy that a lot of times the insights are at the wrong level of detail. Either we have our executive group who should be seeing high level insights, but they're really down in the weeds too much and they're not able to get what they need to be able to run the business smartly. And then our sales team who really does need those details to know what specifically should they go action. Sometimes we have them stuck at too high of level and they're not able to get the support they need. Okay, so let's go see how a world-class solution will solve some of these problems. Great. So here's what your team would see when they log into the solution. In this case, for lack of time, we're going to go ahead and just focus on this sales analysis. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this dashboard, and we're going to get some more information here. Let me get you oriented, and then we'll show how some of this interactive information can really help you understand what's going on in the business. So first up along the top here, we have some different controls that your team can use to compare different periods of time. You can see what a lot of those standard ones are, or you can type in your own custom period, do other filtering and stuff to really be able to drill in and see what you want to see. Then first up, in this example, I should mention, we're comparing this year to last year to date. So first half, a little bit more of the year. Okay, so first we can see our sales are about 5.3 million. So that seems like a pretty good number. But then when we look down below that, we see, uh-oh, it's actually declining from last year. And then especially concerning as we look down at this year over year trend, is we can see that the decline is worsening, right? So there's certainly an issue going on in this brewery that we need to be able to dive into. So next up, what we're going to try to do is break down your sales performance in as many different ways as we can. You can see we have some demo data plugged in here right now. You would be able to see all of your real data if we got you set up on this. How to read each of these is what we're doing is we're showing which, in this case, product or brand had the highest amount of sales and what percent of your total sales did that make up. And then we're going to show, are we up or down from previous period? In this example, we're showing we're actually up 4%, and that's why this bar is blue. If we were comparing to last year's sales, we could see what that is by this line, this darker line right here. So in this case, things are going okay. So let's say, going back to our scenario, a lot of times the brewery sales team is going to be focused on, well, what's our highest seller? And that makes sense because that one really moves the needle. But maybe in this case, we don't necessarily want our sales team really focused on this one because they're actually up a little bit year over year. If they were able to look at a dashboard like this, they would quickly see, uh-oh, our next three beers are the ones we're really struggling with. In fact, this first one, we're down 27% from the previous period. So what I'm going to do is let's say we want to focus in specifically on this brand and really understand what's going on. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it. And then everything else now is going to filter down to just show what's happening with that specific brand, right? And we can continue to drill in more and more. So now that we have a brand isolated, let's say, oh, we want to look at specific channels. So in this case, we're showing our restaurant channel makes up 20% of our total sales, but it's down almost 30%. I'm going to go ahead and click on there, and we're going to see everything filter down again. So now we're really starting to get down into root cause. We can look at what individual customers, if we wanted, we could check out our map over here of different cities of Southern California in this case. Let's say now, as I'm trying to drill in and get to those actionable insights, okay, now what customer do I want to focus on? What I'm going to do up here is instead of sorting by largest to smallest sales, I'm going to say, okay, sort the biggest sales loss up on top. I go ahead and hit that button, and in about a second here, we can see these are the customers that we've lost the most ground with year over year. So these are the guys I really want to go and take those specific actions on. So pretty good way to quickly get from those high level insights down into something that your team can go action. And I'm not going to get into it as much on the demo today for lack of time, but you can take it even further. You can really get down to individual addresses, and then we can take a step back as you're maybe determining your strategy for the year. We can segment all of your customers so you can see how they perform in groups. And then we get down to individual account and placement status. And what we do here is we classify each of those as, are they new? Are they growing? Are they staying the same? Are they declining, or did you lose them? And your team can really quickly get down to how each account and placement is performing so they can take those quick actions. So I think you saw a lot of these benefits as we work through the demo, but let me just summarize them real quick. First of all, this is a single source of truth. Everybody on the team, whether it's executives, managers, or sales reps, log into the same information. They're all looking at the same playbook, right? And they get that real quick view of performance. They see holistically, how are we doing? And then quickly be able to drill down to find root cause of issues that they can take immediate actions on. All the data is really visual and clear. You don't need a master's degree in spreadsheet management to be able to find some of these insights. And what's great is the data is always up to date. It's always up to date through the previous day. So you log in first thing in the morning and really quickly you can see how performance has been. So what's this lead to? Once your team starts to take quicker decisions, smarter actions, it's really going to lead to a more profitable and stronger brewery. That all sounds pretty good, right? That should definitely help your sales team out. Here's some ways that you can get more information. So first up, we have a link to a website. This has other demos, whether it's related to cost of goods sold, gross margins, executive summaries, brewing operations, a lot of different things that you can see the benefits of visualizing this ECOS data. If you'd like to get a hold of me, you have my email there. I'm really happy to answer questions, learn more about how your team is using data today, and help you think through some potential solutions. And then finally, for some more information and to get ECOS Craft Insight set up, email Allie. She'll be really happy to be able to provide that information and get your team going with Craft Insights. Okay, thanks for your time, everybody. Have a great day.